Hey, this is Patrick Lindsay, General Manager of Las Vegas Motor Speedway, and this is the Sports Business Conversations podcast from ADC Partners.
Hey, this is Dave Almy of ADC Partners, and it wasn't too long ago that I had Peter Murray on the show to talk about his transition from running the Professional Fighters League to serving as the CEO of the Pro Bowlers Association. And if you think that's an interesting career segue, well, let me introduce you to this episode's guest, Patrick Lindsay. You see, not that long ago, Patrick was running the PGA Tour stop in Las Vegas, the Shriners Open. When the sponsorship of that tournament fell through, Patrick began looking for his next opportunity, which he quickly found, in the form of serving as the Senior Vice President and General Manager of the Las Vegas Motor Speedway. Now, a golf tournament is obviously a much different animal from a NASCAR race. Or is it? Lindsay actually sees a lot of crossover between the two, and sees his golf experience as being essential for getting him ready for managing a motorsports venue. In our conversation, Patrick and I talk about his big job transition and what he's still learning on the fly. We dive into the current state of motorsports, why golf fans and NASCAR fans really aren't that different, and how he keeps his events competitive in the face of new sports entertainment competition in Las Vegas. He also reveals just what he'll be wearing the next time the world's largest EDM festival rolls into town. So thanks for listening in on my conversation with Patrick Lindsay, Senior Vice President and General Manager of Las Vegas Motor Speedway. Hope you enjoy. Patrick, you grew up in world-famous Spruce Pine, North Carolina.
That's right.
Which, now that's about as NASCAR as it gets, right? But you spent 2 decades in golf, including a decade running the Shriners Open in Las Vegas. So I'm interested in when Speedway called about this job that you're currently in. Did it feel like, I'm right back to where I started, or was this something like motorsports? Like I kind of sort of know about it. What was the vibe?
The vibe was really just kind of being shocked, to be honest. This is a big job,
yeah.
And and I'm not crazy to think anything other than that, and not to discount what my role was in golf and
Sure.
what I had accomplished in the PGA Tour world of running their events. But I think that kind of helped me prepare to get that phone call to ask if I would be interested in that position. And, just it was a very humbling experience for when I got that phone call. But it was one that I was overjoyed with, right? Still had to go through the process and all of that. But, to get that phone call to see if I was interested in joining the team, and such a great team in Speedway Motorsports, it was a pretty easy yes.
Was it intimidating at all? Like, because you just pointed out, like, the Shriners Open, it's an event, and you have a year to kind of prep for the week of the tournament and all the things that go up for it. And I'm not discounting, the putting on the golf tournament, but right, you do get to concentrate your energy into an event. The Speedway, and we'll get into it in a minute from the number of events that go on there, but was there a little bit of like, that's a lot?
Yeah, it's a lot. But, at golf, we also had a very small team, right? And going into this role, obviously, I went from managing a team of 5 to managing a team of 65.
Yeah, it's
plus.
different.
But the amount of resources that are available here and with Speedway Motorsports are, able to help me along the way to make sure I kind of get up to speed. The biggest change, though, truly or my biggest learning curve, I should say, not necessarily change, but a learning curve for me was between golf and motorsports, is that with golf, I was the tournament director of the host organization. I was not the property owner, wasn't the general manager of the property. So the setup of the golf course itself, the daily operation of a golf course was not my...
You did not mow the greens.
That was not my job. That's right. And they don't want me to either. Although I always wanted to be on one of those machines that kind of rolls back and forth. That looked a lot of fun.
Yeah, we're all 8-year-olds at heart.
That's right. But coming to this job, not only do I kind of oversee the events, but I also oversee the day-to-day function of the property.
Mm-hmm.
So that property management side was new to me, but that's kind of when I go and reference all of our team members and our facilities team, our operations team, and how great they are, and also inheriting a team that has just so much experience. I mean, everybody has been here 15, 20 years. So, but it's that was my biggest learning curve, going from golf to motorsports. But again, like I said, it's been awesome. Really, zero complaint.
Can you talk a little bit about your welcome to motorsports moment? Because look, I mean, golf and motorsports, I'm thinking of on the spectrum, and like golf is way down at one end, and motorsports has to be all the way down at the other end, right? So, like, what translates the most for you, like between two? What is the bridge that helps you be effective in your job right now from those two very, very, very different worlds?
Yeah, very, very different. A lot of people have heard me say this. My staff's probably sick of me saying it, but I get to, people get to make noise now, right? And I get to ask people to make noise. Where in golf, I had to tell people to be quiet all the time, right? The little sign, be quiet, please. But now
that's not NASCAR.
I get exactly the exact opposite. But now
it would be hilarious to walk around the racetrack with that sign over your head just to see what the response would be.
One of my gifts I was given when I came to work here, somebody actually put together a little quiet please paddle with the Speedway Motorsports logo, and a certain member of my teams I just need to give it to sometimes. But that's been what's fun though, is that we can put together activities for fans, engaging activities for fans, where I don't have to worry about them making noise or not. We can do concerts, we can play music, all of this stuff that I wasn't really able to do before. So that's been a lot of fun. I would say though, my welcome to motorsports moment. I mean, I walk around here every day and just am in all of the size of the property, the size of the track. And, there's always kind of that moment that I tend to always take, whether it was in golf or now for about a year and a half now, and motorsports, of just that quiet moment on a Saturday or Sunday morning, and you're kind of you're in one of your areas, whether it's in the grandstands or suite level, and you just kind of take a deep breath for a moment. And I've had a couple of those moments, and just in all of what we're able to do here. So that's one of those. The other ones, I went to Daytona this year, and going to Daytona and going into that infield, I mean, that's, as kind of a member of the motorsports community now, and being at Daytona and seeing the fanfare, seeing how large that place was, that was an eye-opening moment for me as well. So I mean, outside of Las Vegas Motor Speedway, going to another track and be like, holy cow.
So it's a good learning experience for you to get hands-on to the Super Bowl aspect of racing.
Right.
And what did you learn about fans when you were there and you're watching the fan base go? Because again, we talked about, golf exists on one end and racing on the other. How about from a fan perspective? You're sitting there in the infield of Daytona. What realizations did you come to about, okay, this is a motorsports fan. This is what we have to make sure that we're catering to at my place?
It's the passion of the fans, without a doubt. Yeah. The golf fans were passionate about their golfers, but it's a different level in motorsports. Yeah, I mean, listen, it's the flags and the loud merchandise that you wear, right? I mean, we all have one of those shirts of your favorite driver, and it's loud and it's bold and it is right in your face.
I got my Mark Martin diecast race car right over there somewhere.
That's right. But that doesn't exist in golf, right? Occasionally, I think I have a Jordan Spieth and a Tiger Woods bobblehead, right? But you're not
walking sit quietly around on your shoulder on the shelf, just nodding occasionally.
That's right. But you're not walking around, like a big, picture of, Bubba Watson or, Tiger or Phil or anyone. So it's just like that passion of the fan is what is driving, right? That's what drives your ideas. It drives what you want to do in your fan zone or in between stage breaks. And
does it feel like with motorsports, there's a level. I mean, golf is kind of boxed in by the structure of golf, and like you said, quiet, and like there's an expectation that people have when you get to the golf course, like it's going to be structured in a certain way. Does that then, for motorsports, feel like that opens up your ability to say, hey, let's try this, let's do this differently? Does it provide you with a broader canvas than maybe you thought you had at golf?
Well, what I think a big difference in the fan experience that we didn't have in golf, but we never had in golf, and it's just because of the time constraints of playing 4 round and having to get 144 players through a golf course a day, is that there is no like real true build up to the start of a golf tournament on any particular day.
Yeah.
Right. Like, because that tee time starts at, sometimes when I was working for Shriners and tournament director for Shriners Children's Open, our tee times would start at 6:30 in the morning.
Oh yeah.
So there was no like build up to the excitement. But
nobody's coming out at 4 o'clock in the morning and
that's right. And doing a concert, right? Or a flyover. But that's what's been really fun so far, in kind of the 2 real races last fall and this spring's NASCAR races that I've really kind of been at the helm for, is being a part of the buildup of all of the activities.
Yeah.
Right. Again, like whether it's the fan zone stuff and the stuff we have going on our pre-race stages, the driver introductions. You don't have player introductions in golf, right? I tried to do a flyover one year, and they told me I couldn't. Right? It's like, what, you want us to stop play at noon?
Yes.
So you can do a flyover? I'm like, yeah, I kind of do. I kind of do want you to stop play.
Hold that backswing.
Right, correct. And I actually saw an article that they are going to do that, and I'm like, well, I can't really take
you're
credit
just ahead
for
of
it.
your time.
But trendsetter. But but I love all of that. I love all of that. The drivers meeting. We have our drivers meeting that's open to the public in the Neon Garage prior to, where all the fans can get around and see the drivers go through the drivers meeting, then get introduced and go. But there's just this whole build up to that green flag that has been a lot of fun and, different from golf for sure.
Can you give a little bit, now that you've been in at the track for a little over about a year and a half, right? Is that what it's been?
It's been a year. I said a year and a half earlier. It's really been a year and 2 months now.
Okay. A year and a half. Yeah. We're rounding up. This is not a math show, fine. Patrick. This is a sports business conversation. We're not going to dive into the details that badly. But can you, now that you have over a year under your belt, what's the state of the state for motorsports as you see it? Because your track has it all, man. You got NASCAR, you got NHRA, World of Outlaws. What's the current vibe in the industry right now from your perspective?
Well, I think there's a lot of growth and excitement that's getting ready to happen. You can see, especially on a NASCAR piece, and just really the success that as the lawsuit has kind of transitioned.
Yep.
But Michael Jordan, who is a headline athlete everywhere you go, right? His success now this year and Tyler Reddick's 5 wins this year, I think is just making NASCAR more and more exciting, because when you have
people are leaning forward a little bit,
like Michael Jordan as an owner of the most successful team right now, people are really starting to take notice. And you have someone like Michael Jordan and a personality like Michael Jordan who wants to invest in the sport. I think really just shows, what he thinks the potential of NASCAR can be now moving forward. And hopefully we can get back to, the success and the popularity and hosting hundreds of thousands of people week in and week out that we had, several years ago.
Yep.
But that's where I think the state of NASCAR is right now. I think there's a lot of excitement, and a lot of that comes from, I think, Michael Jordan's team. And also they just changed the playoff format to something that I think is a little bit simpler for the average fan to understand. Right? It's something that the drivers wanted as well. There's a little negotiation and compromise there, and I think I think they're set up for success moving forward.
There's been some pretty aggressive moves about trying to make sure that NASCAR in particular is staying at the forefront, right? You talked about the playoff format. We've seen the All-Star race changing venues, and dirt track at Bristol and racing the naval base at San Diego's come up. So really trying to create some visual and structural changes that make the sport interesting and compelling. How does Las Vegas and your track want to keep that vibe? I'm using the word vibe a lot here. There's a lot of vibes about NASCAR. Trying to keep that alive, that spirit of reinvention, that tweaking and adjusting. So when you think about some of those other things that have been done as you look forward to NASCAR at Las Vegas, what are some of the things that you'd like to try?
I was thinking about this earlier, and kind of half jokingly, why don't we come out here and make some right turns instead of some left turns, and go the opposate way around around the track? What would that look like?
Mid-race U-turn.
That's right. That's right. Let's just go the opposite direction.
You had trouble with the flyover at golf.
Yeah. Talk about changing a tradition, right? I mean, we got robles and we got road courses and all of that. It's a very interesting question, and I do think it is hard to do something different here, just because we are a points race.
Yep.
Right. We host 2 races a year, one in the spring, one in the fall. One of those is a playoff race, and I think it would be really hard to do something different because there's so much riding on those points.
Yeah.
So I do think it would be hard. I will say, though, we are always open for anything here in Las Vegas. I think we have an extremely versatile piece of property and a really versatile super speedway. So, I mean, I would always be open to conversation. I tell my team all the time, it's like, well, what do you think about X company, X partnership? I'm like, listen, we just need to have conversations, guys.
Yeah.
Let's have a conversation. Conversations are free, right? And they spark a lot of brainstorming and hopefully an eventual partnership when it comes to working with different partners in town. The same can be had with the competition side, and could we do something different? And I would be all ears for that, and I know our company would be as well. But I do think it's kind of hard to change when you are an important.
There's
race
a lot
in the
riding
spring,
on it,
and one in the fall when you have all of these points associated with it. So,
So as you mentioned, you got 2 cup races there, which makes you sort of select company as far as racetracks in North America. When you're making that pitch to NASCAR about hosting races here and like valuable races here, right? Points races. What makes Vegas that compelling cup destination? Why does that continue to be the case for your track? What is Charlotte seeing there that they go, oh yeah, no, we need 2 races in Vegas?
Well, it's really easy to sit here and just say, because it's Vegas.
Yeah, sure.
Right? I mean, who doesn't want to come out here? I'm sure the teams might want to come out here more than twice, right? Because why would you not want to come out to Las Vegas? Maybe July would be a bad time to come out in our 120-degree heat, but the spring and the fall.
That's tough on tires.
That's right. But it's such an incredible place to be. The hospitality that the city provides, kind of paired with our track, which I think we can say is probably one of the newer tracks in NASCAR, even though it's been around for 20 plus years. It's probably one of the newer tracks. We have some modern amenities out there for the drivers. The track is 1.5 mile oval, high speed. I mean, I think it checks a lot of boxes. But at the end of the day, we can have a great track and a so-so market, and probably not have 2 races.
Yeah.
But we have a great track and we have a great market.
Yep.
And a city full of lights, a city who wants to party, a city who wants to, provide you the best hospitality. So it's a truly great place to be in the spring and the fall, and our temperatures, really not
more
a whole lot beats it.
It wasn't that long ago when the Speedway was really the sports option in Las Vegas. And that's obviously changed considerably over the last 10, 15 years, right? I mean,
there's so much here now, right?
It's nuts.
And we would like to think, and, when I was with golf, I talked about the Speedway and golf, right? I mean, I think those 2 professional sports were really the first ones that were here. The Speedway kind of kicked it off, and golf came shortly after that. But we would like to think that, we kind of started all of this and kind of set and laid the initial groundwork for the city to be really interested in hosting professional sports. Now they came, years later, right, with Vegas Golden Knights, basically coming next, and the success that they've had, I think, has just made all of us better as well. But we talk about hosting the Super Bowl and how many people came to the Super Bowl and experienced that. Well, let's backtrack just a little bit and let's think about when we had 150,000 people here for some races.
Two Super Bowls.
Call it 15. Yeah, call it 15 years ago. We had 150,000 people here, and let's talk about get a little bit off of sports, but go to the entertainment side and how this property hosts 180,000 plus people for 3 nights in a row. I mean, let's not forget about Las Vegas Motor Speedway and what this property has done for the city to lay some groundwork to bring some other large events, and how capable the city is to do that. So
it's great in that, I mean, having all these new sports entertainment properties, and it's great in that it raises the profile and people see what's going on, and Vegas becomes top of mind and everything like that. But it does create competition in the market, right? Particularly for some of the things that racetracks live and breathe on, right? It's it's ticket sales, it's sponsor revenue, and these are all things that you're intimately familiar with from your previous life in golf too. So as you talk to your teams and you talk to them about how to be successful in a crowded marketplace, what are some of the things that you're giving them advice on? Like, how do you make sure that they're keeping their edge and making sure that as they talk to people, what message are you sending out about the Speedway in the market itself?
Yeah, I mean, we do like to talk about our history, some of kind of being the ones that laid that groundwork, but that doesn't get new money in. Right. So we talk a lot about kind of the sales process, and at the end of the day, the sales process itself is not hard, right? Now, it can get hard, right? The sales process is about, making the connection, getting the meeting, talking about goals and objectives of companies, and then presenting them something that meets those goals and objectives. I mean, and then hopefully getting a signed contract. Now, there are difficult steps along the way, but the actual process, when you say it out loud, it's not that difficult to understand.
As LaFern likes to say, it's not rocket surgery.
It's not at all. And I used to say that at golf as well. It's about connecting with your client and then getting the client to open up about their business or their goals. And then again, putting together something that matches that. And, you're not going to win all of them. And some people are hockey fans, some are F1 fans, some are baseball or Raider fans. But at the end of the day, it's convincing the client that your property and, your competition, in the case of this, it can be NHRA or it can be NASCAR, is something that can suit their goals. And X, Y, and Z are ways or are the whys of why, our property, our sport can accomplish your goals. So that's really what it's about. Now, I'll say, even when I was in golf, the stuff that like the Golden Knights and the Raiders particularly had done is really just raise everybody's profile. I mean, and raise sports marketing profile, and to understand that, a company's way of advertising doesn't have to be commercials and billboards. That there is a way to spread your message through these sports properties, whether it's, entertaining or sponsoring a certain area in a concourse or in a fan zone, just different ways to engage. And, I felt when I was in golf that as soon as the Golden Knights came in, I was worried, but after they actually had launched and were in market, we saw more sales than what we had before, because I do think that they helped convince businesses in town that this is another platform that, really hadn't been used.
Right. Maybe we just didn't see it before.
And people are, and businesses are seeing a lot of success in their sports marketing and advertising.
So we have to talk about F1. Obviously, it arrived on the scene a couple of years ago. How does that change the calculus for motorsports from where you sit? Is it comparative? Does it suck the oxygen out of the room? Or is it more of like, hey, I was just more interested in motorsports all around, so F1's just one part of it's not here that long. How do you address the fact that there's that other significant motorsports property?
Yeah, again, I think it just kind of raises the profile of everyone. It's also, I've been to the race here. I watch it on the weekends just as much as I watch NASCAR. I enjoy it because it's different. It's
Right.
a different way of motorsports. Love the drama in it. And, I think it's a different style of race, right? And the reason why you attend an F1 race, I think, could be a little bit different than why you attend a NASCAR race, right? I think the NASCAR fan wants to see the entire race. The F1 fan, can't see the entire race. They're there for more of an experience, and there's nothing wrong with that, right? You catch glimpses of the race that you're excited about, that you can see, and then you have a great fan and F&B experience. So, and there's nothing wrong with it, but I do think that the fan bases are
distinct.
a little different. Yeah. But fan bases are different, and I'm sure they would love to have some more of our fans. We would love to have more of their fans, but maybe there's a way to do that.
Yeah.
But we've enjoyed having them in town, and hopefully they enjoy coming out to our race when we have it a couple times a year too.
Now, as we've talked about, Las Vegas Motor Speedway, just by its very name, it is a motorsports venue, and you get a lot of race fans out there. But by no means is it limited to motorsports. I mean, you mentioned earlier, you get 180,000 people out there for the Electric Daisy Carnival. For people who don't know what the Electric Daisy Carnival is, because this is a sports business podcast, I mean, that is a electronic dance music festival, and it's the world's largest.
World's largest music festival.
World's largest music. Those are two very different customers. I'm assuming. I'm assuming those are two very different customers. But that kind of creates a unique challenge.
They're dressed differently.
They're dressed a little differently. They are indeed. I mean, as a general manager for the facility, do you have to pay close attention to how you're accommodating fans of those two very distinct properties differently? Or is, hey, look, as long as the bathrooms are clean and the hot dogs are hot, we're good to go?
Well, we always like to say no matter what event is here, whether it's just a small corporate event or if it's NASCAR or EDC, what happens at our property, people will first critique it for the good or the bad to the owners of the property or us, the staff members here. So we take a tremendous amount of pride in the cleanliness of our property and how it is used, even by Insomniac, who owns and operates EDC, or it could be the owners of Foodie Land, who were here just a few weeks ago with about 60,000 people with a really cool food festival. It's on us to make sure that we're giving them that property in its best, in its best possible condition. But what we love about all those events is how we are able to showcase our property in so many different ways, right? That we're not just a motorsports complex. We can be whatever you want us to be at the end of the day.
Yeah.
And the team's ability to flip events to make sure that we're able to have, multiple events going on at the same time, or events that start and end just days apart. We take a lot of pride in that as well.
Those quick turns.
That's right. That's right. We put a lot on our staff, and our staff is just so unbelievably remarkable because they just do it, and no questions asked. They know that is what we are about, and they take a lot of pride in it. EDC setting up right now. The event is in a month. They're here.
It's
setting
a month
up the
away,
infield.
and they're already starting to set up infrastructure.
Yeah. Yep. It's crazy. They're setting up their campgrounds right now. About 40,000 people will camp on site. Of the 180,000 that will attend nightly, 40,000 of them camp right here on site in these little pods, and they create just an unbelievable atmosphere. That event is probably, as close to a masterpiece as I can see from what I saw from last year. The coordination that they have from security to all the way up to the artists, of of whether it's the cars or the buses or the helicopters that are bringing people in, the coordination of all of that from fan to performer on stage,
it's a dance,
is very, very impressive. And we're really proud that we're able to host it here.
It puts a lot of strain on employees. And with that kind of activity and this is the other thing about racetracks, right? Everybody looks at, race day and sees race day, but I mean, there's stuff going on every day of the year. Like you mentioned corporate events, and there's concerts, and there's races, and there's race teams that live out there, and there's people who have their garages. I mean, there's always something going on, which can be a lot for an employee team. But Speedway was named one of the best places to work in sports by Sports Business Journal, like 2024-25. And I'm wondering, as you've spent a little over a year there, if you've gotten inside the circle of Speedway Motorsports, the company, and got a sense of who they are and how they work and create an environment for their employees. Why do you feel like they earned that unique distinction? What is it about Speedway that separates themselves from all the other places that are, run sports facilities and things?
Well, it starts with our leadership without a doubt. Marcus Smith and the Smith family, they set the groundwork for us, and they allow us to, what our chief operating officer, Mike Burks, likes to say a lot is they allow us to be remarkable. Like we want our employees to be remarkable. We want the events that we put on to be remarkable. And that just kind of goes up and down. I mean, from leadership all the way down through all of our teammates here at Speedway Motorsports. It's about being remarkable and putting on remarkable events. We have our PVP, which is our principles, values, and practices that we kind of live by daily, and just talks about caring for each other. Like I said before, being remarkable, putting on great events, making sure we're taking good care of our client, whether it's that corporate, whether it's that corporate person who's coming in, corporate event who's putting on an event here, or just our grandstand purchaser or our camper on site. Let's make sure that we're providing great experiences for everyone. But, it starts with the Smith family and Marcus at the top, and really putting those values on us all the way down. So we can
applying them
lead with
consistently too, right? It's not just, I think plenty of companies are out there with, hey, these are the 3 bullet points that represent our corporate culture, and then just move on to the next thing. But it takes a separate sort of focus to make sure that they're actually being acted upon and employed.
That's right. And, from my seat, I really want to be a leader for my team just here in Las Vegas Motor Speedway, of one that is making sure that I'm providing resources for my staff to be successful. I mean, I think that at the end of the day is my job, is to make sure that my department heads and those team members have the resources that they have to be remarkable. Right? If I take away resources, and all of a sudden their productivity, falls, that's on me.
Right.
Right. So I need to make sure I'm constantly in communication with our team members here, and make sure that, they have the resources, available to them to be as good as they can. So
now, as you look to the future, there have been some rumblings about Vegas and the championship race and things like that. So as you think about being in the elevator with the guys in Charlotte, and you want to try to make them, convince them that that's the place to be, what's the pitch? You got 10 floors to make the pitch. What's it going to be?
Well, we're a championship town now, right?
Yeah.
We got Stanley Cup champions and the Golden Knights. We have WNBA champions and the Aces. We host Super Bowls, and we're hosting conference championships. I mean, for all the reasons I've said before, the excitement and the hospitality and the party that Las Vegas can throw, right? I mean, there would be no reason why we shouldn't be looked at to host that championship. And then, typically the weather in October is incredible, as we host our South Point 400 in October as well. With all of that being said, I mean, we can list 100 reasons why Las Vegas Motor Speedway needs to host that race. But, we love our current South Point 400. We love South Point as a client. And, we're always excited to host just our playoff race. And I don't want to say just the playoff race, right? Because it's incredibly important. And South Point takes tremendous pride in hosting that race every fall, and they're a tremendous partner. And we're really happy with what we're currently doing. But, on the flip side, a championship race in Las Vegas also makes a lot of sense. So when those conversations are had, like I said before, we're always open to having conversations about how we can put the best product for NASCAR and Las Vegas Motor Speedway out there.
Maybe we should add that third race onto the schedule. That would no big deal there. With Patrick Lindsay, he's the general manager of Las Vegas Motor Speedway. Patrick, thanks for the time. Before I let you go, though, I'm going to toss you into the lightning round. A few last-minute questions for you. I'm just going to ask you to give me the first thing that pops into that head of yours. Okay. Are you ready?
Yep.
Oh, okay. All right, Patrick Lindsay, in the lightning round. What would be tougher to watch, your last round of golf or your last hot lap around the track?
My last round of golf.
Last round of golf? Okay. I'm going to give the under-over on the score 95.
Oh, it's less than that, but man, it's still
I was thinking about my golf round. Okay, fine.
It's still, being in golf for so long, I should be much better than what I am.
All right, very good. All right, what is your go-to game when you're out for a night in Las Vegas?
Usually with my wife, and it's a lot of times it's the show at the Smith Center, our Performing Arts Center, and dinner at one of our favorite restaurants in the resorts world called Crossroads.
Okay, Crossroads, a little insider's tip for a Las Vegas visit. Complete the following sentence. The strangest thing I ever saw on the Strip was... Remember, this is PG-13.
Man, I'm going to say the boats now in the Bellagio fountains.
Oh, really?
Strange.
Okay. I have not seen those. All right. Last one. What will you be wearing to the next Electric Daisy Carnival event?
I'm going to go ahead and think about putting a little staff uniform together of neon pink and neon yellow.
Now we're talking.
With some LVMS loud clothing to match the bold lifestyle of NASCAR.
It's going to take a while. It's going to take a lot to blend into that group.
But if I do it, Dave, you have to come out, all right?
Believe me, as my spouse will be happy to tell you, I never miss an opportunity to play dress up.
There you go.
All right, Patrick Lindsay is the general manager of Las Vegas Motor Speedway. Patrick, many thanks for the time.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening to this episode of the Sports Business Conversations podcast. If you enjoyed it, we always appreciate a subscribe, share, comment, or like. And if you're the social type, you can always follow us in all the usual places. Don't forget, past episodes are located at adcpartners.com/podcast. A quick shout out to Scott Holmes for composing our theme music. This podcast is a production of ADC Partners. All rights are reserved.